Hello everyone and welcome back to our backyard garden. I want to wish everyone happy holidays. We are almost at the end of 2019. We're approaching 2020 and today I want to make a video on kitchen scrap and how you can use kitchen scrap to do a small scale backyard compost. So this is really a small scale composting. Typically, you have a big pile of compost, all the cuttings from the trees, leaves, and grasses, and you compile them into a big pile of yard waste, and you compost them in the backyard. But if you don't have a big backyard like I do, I don't have a big backyard. I have a tiny backyard like this, and you have some kitchen scrap, then you can always compost them. Now, one thing about composting kitchen scrap is that it really helps the environment. Typically, people just throw all this waste food into the trash, and from then the trash will be dumped into the landfill. And sometimes it stayed like that for decades because all the food scrap is in a plastic bag and it's buried beneath the landfill. So the food scrap actually being preserved in that plastic bag for years and years. So why not do a smart thing and real easy thing to take the kitchen scrap and go outside. If you have a small garden like I do here, you can always bury them beneath the soil, and that will enrich the soil, recycle the raw material or the organic material back into soil. So this is a win-win situation. So today I want to come out here and do a quick demonstration. Hopefully I can do a proper demonstration because I'm filming this with one hand and trying to do it with the other hand. So here I have dug a little hole here. This is about maybe 12 inches deep, and the width of it is not very important as long as the depth is reasonable. You want to be at least 8 to 12 inches deep. That depth is really suitable for most vegetable waste. Now, I typically only compost the vegetable waste, but lately I do compost some of the meat product, such as the shrimp, the shell of the shrimp, and sometimes a bit of the fish skin. Now, if you do compost some of the animal products, byproducts, such as fish, you need to dig them. You need to dig a hole a little bit deeper. The reason is that if you don't do that and you bury the scrap really close to the top soil, let's say 8 inches, the animals and other critters can come around and smell that and well, dig it up. I know that even 2 feet sometimes it's quite a stretch, but animal actually can smell the raw fish probably 3 feet, even 6 feet below the soil. But at least if you bury them deep enough, at least 2 feet below the soil, they will have a much more difficult time trying to dig them up. So that's just the prerequisite. At least if you're gonna do it properly. So here I have, again, I dug a hole about 12 inches deep, and when I finish, I will put a little stick, a little pole here to mark that area. You can use any kind of stick, any kind of marker, just to mark the spot. And that one right there is about several weeks ago. This one maybe over a week, and then finally this one today. Now you can, if you have a lot, you can dig a little trench, but here it's sort of like a little trench, but it's just one spot at a time, because that's all I have is tiny little bit of kitchen scrap. So let's start with the kitchen scrap. So here it is. Like I always mention, this is a wonderful 1 gallon coffee can here, plastic can with a nice, beautiful, tight lid. You can find this throughout most corporate world. They typically use this kind of coffee, and they have tons of them. They just throw them away after it's empty. After a week, a gallon of coffee is no big deal. They throw them away, and I usually collect them. I have literally hundreds of them. It's wonderful to store stuff in it when it's really clean, and the lid can be used as like a little lid here to hold some kind of plant so the water don't drip out, like a saucer. And again, the lid is very tight, so once you have the kitchen scrap inside there, you can put below your sink. It won't stink up your house, it won't smell, I promise you that. All right, and besides, you're always gonna excuse me, and you will come out here once a week and dump the kitchen waste anyway. You want to leave the kitchen waste there for a month. That's not the purpose. So about once a week I will come out here and I will do this, and the effect of it, you don't see it all. Look at that. But beneath the soil you see the effect, but on the surface it's very nice and clean. As you can see, you don't see any waste here. Of course, obviously you can't smell it. There's no smell at all. All right, so let's open this up and let's take a look. Now I have some damaged fruit and vegetable, and you get some tea leaf here, you get some cucumber here that is rotten, damaged, and a lot of other stuff. So they are already decomposed into certain respect. Sometimes they even have fungus and mold in it. When they have the white mold, it's really fine, no big deal. And there's a lot of other stuff beneath there. It's just being compressed because it's already decomposing. All right, so here, let me take this and I'll dump it in here, like so. And you can see the liquid. You can call it leach, whatever you want to call it. It's really, a dark color because, again, the vegetables are decomposing, so all the juice are running out. So typically inside here, what I have is eggshell, beautiful for calcium, and then other stuff like mushroom, other vegetable, herbs, onions, and sometimes a few of the orange or lemon peel. The lemon and orange peel, trying to limit that. You don't want to try to put too much of it because it's very acidic. It's very sour. The worms and the animal don't like that. But it will decompose, no problem. You don't want to put a whole basket of it in one place. That's all I'm saying. Look at that. This thing is so degraded that I can just chop right through it. So if you come out here, and you might want a little bit, chop it off just a little bit, make it into smaller chunk so it's decomposed even quicker. All right, so you can see the soil here is very sandy. Look at that, it's just loose, sandy, and some of here that actually some of the eggshell here that were buried not too long ago, and you can still see some of the remnants that I scrapped not too long ago. So once I put this in, all right, now if you do have, you can actually fill it with the soil right away. But what I typically do is I add some commercial compost, because I always have compost around. And here it is, all right. Now, why do you want to add some compost? Just add 1 or 2 scoops. You don't have to add too much of it, like this, all right? You don't have to add too much because you don't want to waste this beautiful compost anyway. So I add a few little compost here into it. The reason why you want to add some compost is that the compost already contains a wonderful microorganism. So it helps speed up the decomposing process. So it helps breaks down the raw material even faster. So here, let me add some more. Just a few tiny scoops. You don't have to add too much, and mix them up a little bit. All right. Let me just dump the whole thing in, just a tiny little bit. Again, you don't have to add too much of it. And then from then, I would just cover it up with the surrounding soil, including a little bit of the top layer soil. So you can see this side top layer soil is pretty nice. All right. And you don't really have to compact or really, my soil is very sandy, so I can pat it down just a little bit. No big deal. All right, so like that. All right, so and then of course I'll take this marker, any marker. I'll just take them out and I'll just put them in here. So to mark the little spot. That's all. That's all. Just so I remember, because I bury so many in so many spots. Sometimes I don't remember them and I start digging them up. That's not really a big deal at all, really. After about a week or so, the vegetables should be pretty much decomposed. Believe me. All right, so give it a try. And one last thing you want to do is put some. Now, if you live in a very hot and humid and hot climate, then if during the dry season, definitely add some water to it. And then here in this 5-gallon bucket here, I have saved some rainwater because we've been having a lot of rain lately. Look at the color of the rain water. Pretty dark, huh? So very nice. So add some water to it. Just keep the soil moist. That's all. That's all. And once you add it, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to add it again. All right, and there you have it. And pretty much that's it. That's the basic of really backyard small scale composting. And really, in my opinion, I think everyone should be doing this. If you're growing something in the backyard, even with a tiny little spot like I have here, 10, 20 square feet, doesn't matter. I have here about maybe 300 square feet. But even if you have like 10 feet by 4 feet, which is 40 square feet, you can actually do this, because this is really we trying to mimic the nature process. This is a natural process. Everything falls, everything dies, and everything decomposes back into the soil. Either the animal comes and eat them, or the leaves or the dead animal that laying on the ground will decompose, and the nutrient will recycle back into the soil. And the worms, the fungus, and all the organism will consume that, and the circle of life, the process of recycling, go in the circle. That is how nature works, right? So we want to do the same thing, mimic the same thing in some principle. That's what we want to do in such a small scale backyard. All right, and please don't throw your kitchen scrap into the trash, in the bag, and then into the trash. Try to avoid it if you can. If you are growing stuff here in the backyard, I cannot stress how important this is. This is really important on a very small scale. But if every household is doing this, it can have a massive impact on the environment. All right, so that's it for my talk. And remember that spot I told you earlier. So we're gonna dig that spot up and just to look at it, and just to let you guys see how it turned out after several, 2 weeks, maybe, I don't know. So let me see. Let me get a scoop here. All right, so I think I buried here somewhere. All right, here's a little softer spot. Oh my, look at that. Look at that. So here, this spot. I think I can still see some of the tiny little bit of bits. You can't really see it. I hope you can see it on the camera. But I can tell this is not the spot, because the soil is much harder. I can tell this is the spot. It's much softer. And one key element you can spot right away that the composting is working or is in the process is that when you try and dig it up, there are plenty of earthworms just everywhere, because they are consuming this organic material. All right, look at that. It's wonderful when you see the earthworm beneath the soil. Now, other spot, if I try to dig up, there won't be any of the animal, and there won't be any of the earthworms. But in this spot where I actually bury the scrap, there will be earthworm everywhere. Look at this. Look at that. Just a handful of them already. And I will put them back as soon as I'm finished. Okay. Again, you can't really tell because I think my camera doesn't really show it. And also the food scraps already pretty much gone. Look at this. Okay, so it's very sandy, very poor soil here, but that's all I can work with. That's all I have to work with, and continue to improve it. Continue to add kitchen scrap, other organic material to put more nutrients back into soil. All right, so this part is fine. Okay, so once you continue down the line, like a little trench, a hole here and another hole there, then you can repeat it again. If you don't have anything here, you can always repeat it again, over and over again. So this kitchen scrap, I can't say that word. My mouth is locking up because it's kind of cold. Not really that cold, but I mean cold for Southern California, 60 degree and sometimes 40 plus degree. But anyway, this is the process that will be continuous. So it won't be like, okay, you do it once and then you stop. No, this is really a continuous process, because you're always going to be eating, you're always going to be cooking, preparing food in the kitchen, and you will always have kitchen scrap. All right. Did I mention that I add some meat product? Yes, I did, right? So meat product, especially the seafood stuff, are excellent for the nutrients, especially fish. Plants just love that, and they can't get enough of it. And the animal beneath it, the soil, the worms, and the all the other organisms would love the fish. But I must stress that if you're gonna put animal product, especially fish, you must dig a deeper hole, maybe 18 inches to 24 inches beneath the soil. Otherwise, the critters around the neighborhood, the raccoons and the opossum, or even the cats will come and try and dig them up. Cat usually not a very good digger, but raccoon and opossum, they will able to dig down and trying to mess up your process, right? But so far I haven't had that kind of experience yet. So because we live in an urban setting here, so they tend to very shy and afraid of humans. All right, so that's it for our video for today. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope I did demonstrate, or at least talk enough about this very simple and very easy process. And this is a natural process of how nature composts the waste. Nothing go to waste, obviously, and everything recycled back into the soil, back into the earth, and continue a process of life and death and growth. Well, thank you for watching, and again, I want to wish all of you happy holidays, and we'll check back soon with you guys.